Okay, this is Wheel 1, Lesson 1, centering, opening, and pulling. Just a little refresher for everybody. The first thing I want to do is I want to get my wheel going fairly fast. Let me take off my mouse. Okay. I want to get my wheel going fairly fast. I'm going to get some water on my piece. I'm going to rest my arms on my thighs. I'm going to cup the clay, and squeeze it between my hands, and slowly slide my hands up. Okay. One more time. Cupping my hands around the base. Trying to keep them as steady as possible and sliding my hands up. Now I'm going to bring it down. Basically, I'm going to take my right hand, still with my elbow tucked into my thigh here, and I'm going to push to 2 o'clock. I'm just pushing over. So my hand comes down to the very base again. Okay? And we just repeat that process. Squeezing from the bottom, moving it up into a cone. Get some of this excess clay down at the base. Squeezing from the bottom, moving it up into a cone. Sliding my hands over. And letting the clay spin. Last time, oops, last shoe. To a cone. Sliding my hands up. Okay. Now on to opening. First, I'm just going to make a little indentation. Kind of pressing down across the top so that my index finger goes down into a sort of the center of the piece. So it helps me to find the center. Once I've found the center, get a little bit of water on my piece. I'm just going to start pressing straight down with my index finger leading. And leaving about ½ an inch of material at the base. How do I know that? I can kind of feel where the wheel head is with my outside hand. My inside finger, kind of, my brain will sort of tell me fairly close to where it is. Once I've got that, I'm just going to slide my fingers inside. And now keeping my hand very vertical, keeping these fingers very vertical, I'm just going to start pulling straight back to me, thinking about making a very flat bottom. I don't want to pull up, and I don't want to push down when I'm pulling back. I don't want to pull up, I don't want to push down. I want to pull straight back. Okay? Now that I've got my opening, I'm just going to set my base. I do that just by letting the wheel spin and moving my index finger very slowly across the bottom. I tend to move more from the outside to the inside, but it doesn't really matter. You can move back and forth, and you can just feel the clay underneath you start to compress down. You're just compressing the bottom and giving strength. Now we're ready for our first pinch. And again, I'm using the entire length of my finger, as much as I can possibly touch, and I'm just squeezing the material between my two fingers like this, keeping the contact point as large as possible. Don't forget to get some water on your piece. So again, working at 3 o'clock, I'm just going to squeeze the material between my fingers and just even out the walls and get a little bit of height. Now I'm ready for my first pull. I like to make a little indentation down here at the base. My finger position is kind of like where I've got my index, my pointer finger curved around my thumb a little bit. Gives me a lot of strength. I'm going to be working with this point of my finger, just the side. And then inside, I'm working with this point of this finger with all of these fingers curved behind it. Okay, so get some water on my piece. I'm just going to bring my outside hand up to meet my inside hand. Then keeping that pressure the same, slowly bringing that pressure together, making sure my fingers come up at the same time, and stopping just about 1/4 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch from the top. Now I'm going to compress my lip. We talked about this. 3 little points of pressure, let it spin a couple of times, strengthens the lip. Okay. Now we just repeat that process, right? Little indentation down at the base. Get some water on your piece. Inside hand, outside hand comes up to meet the inside hand. We're just bringing that pressure straight up. Stopping just before we get to the top. Once again, compressing the lip. Now we're ready for the last pull. My last pull, not your last pull. You're just going to keep doing this until you get some height. Once again, down here at the base, making a little indentation. You can use your pinky fingers, just kind of hold them against the base. A little bit of water on your piece. And again, hands working together, outside finger comes up, meets my inside finger. Slowly sliding my hands up. Making sure they come up together at the same time. Pressure off at the top. Compress the lip. And we're done. Make sure that you are getting all the water out of the center of your work before you cut it off. Water out. Okay. It's nice and dry in there. Final little bit of cleanup of the lip. Always a good idea. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do a couple of cuts with the needle tool. So, needle tool, refresher. Inside finger rests against the inside of your pot. You lay the tool on your hand like that, leaving about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch of needle tool in front of your finger. Remember, we're not poking, we're bringing our fingers together like this. And it's more bringing the needle tool to the inside finger. You're not pushing out with the outside, with the inside finger. You're just pressing in with the needle tool. So bring it in about, let it start to cut. As soon as it touches, let it spin a couple of times and lift straight up. It gives you a nice clean edge to work with. Okay? One more time, we're going to do that again. Okay, finger on the inside, no pressure. Outside finger, outside hand. Let it spin, lift it up. Okay? The last little bit of lip compression. You always want to compress your lip after you cut it off. Get the last little bit of moisture out from the inside. And we are ready to cut our piece off and put it on the bat. Okay. Stop your wheel. Give it a quick cut in one direction. Move it 45. Cut it across. And now you're ready to take it off. Get your bat close by. Most of you are actually throwing on bats, so you don't really have to do this. But you just kind of lift it up and off, up and off, up and off, like I said, and then get it onto your bat. Okay, we're going to come back and trim this in a little bit.